of Islamic centers and masajid that take their cue or wait for a signal from the moneyed crowd. People who have the resources and the finances, they are the ones who set down the policies for these Islamic centers. So if this, and let me be more pronounced here, if the Saudi government that has the monies and the resources says that we are now approaching a time of interfaith activity with Christians and Jews, and therefore we expect you to join them in their interfaith conferences and activities, then they will do that. But on the other hand, if the Saudi government tells them that the Christians and the Jews are kafirs and they are beyond redemption and approach, and it's a waste of time meeting with them or discussing things with them, they close down and they have no interaction with these non-Muslims. So if that is what is going on, and it is what is going on, I'm not trying to present you with a false scenario. This is exactly the fact of the matter in 90% of the cases. And if that is the way things are run, then you begin at home. You go to your masjid, wherever that is, whoever is in charge there, and you begin to drill some common sense. Not you as one individual, but you as a few individuals, you as eventually a congregation of individuals, until people in that local Islamic center can see the light and they begin to respond to you rather than responding to the banks and the payrolls that are in Riyadh or in Kuwait or Switzerland or Washington or wherever the case may be. We need a new spirit of confidence. And to answer part of your question, Muslims seem to be, because of the fear that has gripped them, they seem to be incapable of opening up channels of communication with the other. Part of that is due, not all of it, but part of it is due to, and excuse me if I use this word, but there's among a good number of Muslims a type of inferiority attitude. They came from a depressed part of the world. They were humiliated growing up. I mean, some of the school systems we have in our schools back home, so to speak, if a person hasn't memorized his few pages, then the teacher breaks his spirit in the classroom. So they come from a broken background, and they arrive over here, and over here, more or less, they should feel the freedom to express their mind and their conscience. But even when you give them that freedom to express their mind and their conscience, they are unable to do so, as if they are still living in a tyrannical and in a dictatorial society. They just seem not to be able to overcome that. And that becomes more complicated when the United States government itself, the one that says it's going out to the world to teach democracy and freedom and free elections and all of this, say, we're going out there to you guys in the Middle East, and we're going to teach you how to open up the political and civic atmosphere for your own people. But what is the result? Instead of the United States government teaching oppressive regimes in the world how to become democratic, these oppressive regimes are teaching the US government how to become dictatorial. And now they're taking away civil liberties, and they're spying on us in our homes and eavesdropping on our internet, our telephone conversations, and all of this. It's the real world we're in.
One question here is, are you aware of the number of Jewish and Palestinian organizations that are working together for a two-state resolution? Your statements seem to condemn all Jews as being in opposition and oppressive towards, I imagine, non-Jews was the question. Yes.
Now, please, I mean, I'm still here and you're still here. Nothing has gone away. I don't know how I gave the impression that all Jews are oppressive.
I think perhaps in some minds the equation of Zionist and Jew is very tightly knit together.
Yeah.
And you can't decouple it for them, but perhaps you can show the decoupling yourself.
Yeah, this is an area in which Muslims and Jews are, it's probably the dividing area between, there's a lot of things in common between Muslims and Jews. I mean, so much things in common. But the one issue that has polarized Muslims and Jews is the issue of Zionism. The racist occupation of the Holy Land. That has become an issue that no Muslim can identify with to speak about. And there should be no conscientious Jew that is able to identify with the Zionist occupation. This is the only common ground that's going to be able to deliver sustainable relations between Muslims and Jews from now into the future. If the Jews cannot see, look, let me put it this, let me make it a little easier for those of you who are multidisciplinarian and who are, let's say, trans-religious. When you come and you ask a Jew to be critical of the Zionist government in Palestine, it's going to be very difficult for him or her. And it's understandably so, because Jews have lived in a diaspora for the majority of their history, if not practically all of their history. And they yearn for a territory and a place that they can call home. That's normal. Any human being in this world should be able to identify that human and emotional makeup of a Jewish person, and should be able to help them in that regard. Up until now, everything is fair. I don't think any Muslim, Christian, or Jew would argue the fact that it is normal and natural for a Jew to call a land in this world their homeland. The problem, though, is not up to here, it's from here on. Because what the Jews decided to do is establish a nation state of their own that is not only exclusive of the other, but detrimental and lethal to that other. Here's where we begin to have a problem. Okay, we understand that you wanted to feel at home in the Holy Land, in Eretz Israel. We understand that. But we don't understand why, by coming back to this homeland, you have rationalized for yourself the elimination of the other. This doesn't make sense in the Torah, it doesn't make sense in the Gospel, and it doesn't make sense in the Quran. It doesn't make sense if you approach this from a scriptural point of view. So, the Jews are going to have to mature to the degree that would reject Zionism as it is expressed today in the policies that have been going on practically for the past 60 years. We're going to have,